Views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
Hi, welcome. This is Dr. John DeMartini. This is one of the most amazing and inspiring shows that you can listen into. If you want to be on the edge of your seats, if you want to open up your heart, if you want to expand your mind, and you want to meet incredible people, stay tuned because you're just about to experience a transformative radio show that will change your life. And you're listening to the Dr. Pat Show that's coming up right next.
The following audio is via a Skype call.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. Talk radio to thrive by. Powerful, inspiring, and coming to you live, bringing you stories of people like you and me, busting through and living life full out. Get ready to dare to wonder what your life would be like if you knew you could not fail. Hey, everybody. It is a great, great time. It is so wonderful to be connecting with all of you. And you know what? I've been so excited, Benny, about today's show. Soul Awakening. Learn to love yourself, heal your body and mind, and celebrate life with my super special guest, fabulous hit show host, Audrey Michel. And, you know, for part of this, is she's going to share something special today about what we're going to talk about. And what I love about this is I love the journey that I am so honored that I get to take with the people that are on Transformation Talk Radio and the Dr. Pat Show. It is beyond anything that I can describe. And when I think about when I first met Audrey, watching what's happening to her show, looking at this amazing platform, the people she's reaching, the work she's doing in the world. And then I'm looking at, look at this other thing she created. And I am in awe by the things that Audrey says yes to, inspiring all of us to say yes as well. And, you know, what I love about this is whether you know Audrey from her journey, from healing, wellness, whether you've read her blog, Rewired Life, whether you've gotten her book and have been inspired to know what it's like to take that journey, that rewired life journey, a journey to untangle chronic pain and endometriosis, whether it's that or you're waking up today and thinking, I need some help getting through my day, you're going to hear not only how you can connect with her, but what Audrey is doing, as we are also going to give away one spot on her master class. Audrey, welcome to the show. It's so great to have you here. Awesome show today.
Thank you, Dr. Pat. As always, so excited to talk with you. And yes, we are definitely giving away a spot in my online masterclass, Soul Awakening. So I'm excited to do that.
Let's talk about Soul Awakening for a minute, because we were just chit-chatting kind of before the show. I mean, I'm acutely aware at my past, the journey I'm taking, and the various soul awakening moments that I can recall. But you did something extraordinary to prepare for the show. You had a realization of the really cool things you've been talking about. Tell us about today's show and what this is going to recap for people.
Right. So our plan for today's show is really to talk about not only what does it mean to rewire those neuroplastic pathways and to get our emotions and our mental and our physical bodies working in the same level. But I have spent now the last 6 weeks on my show, Rewire Life, talking about the different topics that go into the 3 steps of rewiring your life, which are loving yourself, healing your body and mind, and celebrating life.
Well, I want to kick this off by talking about what it means to rewire. Because, I come from a family, they have some interesting characters in my family. My brother, who's an electrician, my dad, a mechanic. And so the idea of rewiring things would come up quite a bit in our everyday lives, in our family. And I am so thrilled that we're going to talk about this, because Rewired has more meaning to it in the world we live in now with energy than growing up and watching my dad rewire an entire house.
Well, my dad was a contractor, so I did get to grow up in a similar environment where, yes, electricians were a part of my upbringing. So, when I speak about neuroplastic pathways and the short circuits that we create with the wires within our brain and our nervous system, if you want to talk about it physically, we are creating these neuroplastic pathways on a moment-to-moment basis, right, in the background of our subconscious, right? And so if you think about it physically, when we are learning anything, like learning to walk, learning to ride a bike, at the beginning, it's very stumbly, very confusing. Everything seems kind of hard. The same thing happens when we are learning something mentally and emotionally and spiritually. So we're taking and growing these new wires and making it go from, if you think about bushwhacking through a jungle, we want to take it from a gnarly path to like a paved walkway, and hopefully eventually to a super freeway. So if you think about a toddler learning to walk, they go from falling over all the time to just like hopping up and walking like no problem, and we all know the stumbly parts in between. But you can apply that same pattern and that same idea to creating pathways emotionally.
Yeah. And you know what I love about this is that this is really now us getting knowledge and information about our capacity, but also our potentiality as human beings that transcend, perhaps what we grew up learning about ourselves, perhaps that biology class you took, because now we're even talking about being able to change DNA, so let's take that, let's marry that with this world of energy now, energy medicine. And now we have a blueprint for what you've written about in your show. But here's the missing link for a lot of us. And this is what you're going to talk about today, I believe. We don't know how to do this.
We don't, and we do. That's the interesting part. Is because this is what when the light bulb came on for me, the switch flipped. If we are doing this thing in the background of our mind every day, our whole life, it actually, you can go two ways with it. You can be like, well, I have no control over it, or I actually do. Have a choice. And so the way that I think about it is, you know how we like to say practice makes perfect.
Yeah.
And so does practice actually make perfect, or does practice make a habit? And so for me, it became, you know what? Practice can also make a habit, meaning, like you were saying, if we learn something as a child, and one of the examples I like to use is, one of my clients was a talkative little child and heard a lot. Could you just be quiet? Could you just leave me alone for just a minute? And so her little psyche as five-year-old her decided it wasn't safe to express herself and to ask questions and to talk a lot. And so her little neuroplastic pathways short-circuited and were like, oh, I just won't do that anymore. So I'm going to be quiet. And so now as an adult, in her business, in the business world, she finds herself not speaking up when she actually knows the answer and knows that she sits in a unique position to be the expert in a specific way, and it exhausts her. So she came to me like, why am I so tired? Like, I know that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And what we discovered is that for her, speaking up and sharing her voice, she made wrong for herself. But that's her authentic self. So we went back and broke these short circuits that she had created for herself, that it's not safe to use her voice and express herself. And we made new ones in a way that it is safe for her to express herself in an authentic way. And so now she's not exhausted anymore by the work that she does. So that's the whole premise is, if these patterns are being built in the background, why can't we have, authority over it? Why can't we have choice in how they're actually made?
Yeah.
And so if you think about, this commercial comes to mind. It's kind of a while ago, but I remember there being Steph Curry, the basketball player, and Tom Brady, the football player. And it was, it just kept being like Steph was bouncing a basketball in different ways. And they just kept saying day in, day out, day in, day out, right? And so he's creating muscle memory for the way that he wants to play his game. And we can do that in our brain for our emotions and how we want to process our emotions. And I find that so empowering and so amazing for how you can shift your perception.
Mm-hmm. You know what I love about this? Because I grew up and I don't know when it happened, Audrey, or how it happened, but there was a point where I think I hit my early teenage years, and I started to stutter. And anybody that's not familiar with stuttering, what it means is you go to speak words and they don't come out in this beautiful flow like we're speaking today. And so I stuttered. And so honestly, when I first started doing the radio show, especially with social media, people were connecting with me and saying, are you Pat Basile that went to PS 14? Are you the Pat Basile that went to Junior High School 101? Mm-hmm. And they're asking me, how did you stop stuttering? And, I wish I had an answer. But just because I stopped doesn't mean I didn't have some other work to do around my confidence, around sometimes if I start to fumble a little bit with my words. I was having a little bit of that trauma from that. Isn't that part of it too, when things have happened to us and the word that I love is triggered? Let's take a short break, everyone. We will be right back. Soul Awakening, learn to love yourself, heal your body, and celebrate life. Audrey Michel, we will be right back.
Awareness is universal. Establishing a living awareness through meditation brings peaceful, healthy, and creative well-being into your everyday life. The practice of living awareness, Spirit Fire's own meditation practice, is built on this belief and is designed for every level of practitioner. Each year, Spirit Fire hosts living awareness meditation retreats that allow you to explore the practice in depth at our retreat center in beautiful Western Massachusetts. Introduce yourself to meditation and the practice at the Foundation's retreat. Attend, in silence, a silent meditation retreat focused on mindfulness, presence, and nature, or be engaged with the meditation sittings themselves at the Deepening Retreat. Start adding to your awareness and attend a meditation retreat designed to cultivate consciousness in your everyday life. For details on attending a Living Awareness meditation retreat, visit upcoming events at www.spiritfire.com.
Hey, did you know why they call the foundation? It's called the foundation because it completely eliminates your foundation for what you thought your reality was and creates a whole new space where you can have an entirely new reality that is foundationless. So from my point of view, they should call it the unfoundation or the foundationlessness. Either way, there's a big new global rewrite happening again because these guys cannot stop changing. There should be like a Change Anonymous that Gary and Dane go to. And it's happening April 28th to May 1st. You can find out about it at accessconsciousness.com/global foundation. It's happening in Paris. Go to Paris or do it online or find a pod near you. These are all the options you have. And what else is possible?
Are you feeling stagnant or blocked in your love life, career, health, or finances? Experiencing difficulty focusing or setting and achieving goals? Tune in to Spiritual Diagnostics Radio with psychic visionary healers Carol Dorian and Justice Welling. Discover the cause and effect of unwanted patterns in life. Tune in every Tuesday at 12 p.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio. For more information, visit spiritualdeed.com.
Tune in to The Jen Royster Show, intuitive guidance to inspire your life, each Thursday at 8 a.m. Pacific and 11 a.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com. This amazing show is an inspirational hour that will take you on an epic metaphysical journey to discover the spiritual approach to life's greatest challenges. Dr. Jen is an internationally known intuitive counselor, spiritual teacher, and energy healer. Call in for intuitive readings and visit JenRoyster.com for more information.
No, we need it so bad. We got to have it so bad. No, we want it so bad. Got to have it so bad. Give it to me so bad. Hey, need it so bad. Want it so bad.
Hey, everybody. So thrilled to be connecting with all of you. You know what? I got to tell you, Audrey Michel's in the house here, and she is the host of Rewired Radio, and we're going to tell you a little bit about that. But the point of this show is we're taking a little step back in time, and we're looking at what do we want to know about our potentiality. What do we want to know about how we can change and shift? And then, Rewired Life Radio is something that absolutely has emerged and exploded here to help people understand the journey, but more importantly, what you can do about implementing change in your life. Now, Audrey, you have an upcoming Soul Awakening Masterclass. How to Rewire Your Life. Tell us about that before we kind of get deep into this conversation. Tell us about that. And you also we're going to give away a spot in it as well.
We are. So my class, Soul Awakening, here's the deal. So if you've heard me speak before, my healing journey was 17 years of chronic pain and disease, which I write about in my book. And really what emerged from that is really me becoming aware of my gift that I'm supposed to share with the world, which is healing, and the steps to do it. And so I would have told you 20 years ago, I would have told you that for me to find happiness, I needed to heal first, and then I would be able to love myself, and then we'd go on a big beach vacation and celebrate, right? Mm-hmm. And I figured out I was doing it all wrong, all of it wrong. I mean, not only did I need to make some changes medically for my health, but also my psyche and the way that I process this information, the way that I was dealing with things had to change. Mm-hmm. And so what I discovered and what I now teach and what is in the Soul Awakening class is the process to love yourself first, and then be able to heal your mind and body, and all along the way celebrating life. So the 6-week class, 6 weeks is broken down into, again, loving yourself, healing your body and mind, and celebrating life. And so I teach my process, and I've brought on some amazing guest experts to share their insight into love, heal, and celebrate. And so you get workbook pages, like journaling prompts and that kind of stuff to help you dig through what your unique things are that we need to learn for you. I have meditations. I have what I call quick reset meditations for you, meaning, what can I do in 2 minutes, right? So if you're a busy mom and you're like, I have 2 minutes when I go to the bathroom. Yeah. This you can literally be in the bathroom for 2 minutes and reset. So I wanted to give some tools that you could easily get back to alignment if you feel yourself kind of starting to wobble. So there's one of those in each of the week modules, and then of course I give a talk as well. So there's videos of me discussing the overview of what we're going to learn, and then you have worksheets and my quick reset meditations.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and this is something that ties into what we're talking about today, because what we're really talking about is being able to break those old patterns that are running our lives. And then sometimes we get a little bit caught up, sometimes even after we think we've got them handled, and then they kind of creep back in. So you're helping people totally rewire. Now, how do people how do people register for the Soul Awakening Masterclass? Is it at your website, audreymichel.com?
It is.
Okay.
So Audrey Michel is spelled Audrey, and Michelle is Michel. So only one E and one L. So if you go there, there's a button for Soul Awakening, and it'll give you, I have lots of information and testimonials and all the fun stuff on how to get registered.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this idea of, we've heard this before, loving ourselves, but also about, I was just talking with somebody about this yesterday, this idea of struggling to be enough, to be worth it. And there's this dance that happens between the saying, you have to love yourself, and then the reality about how we show up in life. Help us with understanding the relationship with this, and where do we even begin to rewire it?
It always begins with awareness. And this is what has come up now in these last 6 weeks that I've been having discussions with other women on my show, is everything starts with awareness. And so being able to witness and step back and witness what your thoughts are, what your words are, because they matter. And so, I still catch myself if like something happens, or I have a thought or a judgment or a competition in my head about somebody, about myself, to be able to stop and be like, and catch myself. And the words I like to use for myself are, I forgive you, I'm sorry, I love you. And then just kind of a way of kind of getting back to my childhood self, right? Like if you made a mistake as a child, it's more than likely that your parents are going to be compassionate, right? Like scoop you up, like, oh, that's okay, don't worry about it. But that's not really how we treat ourselves as adults, or, ourselves. Like we're more easily able to do it for other people, but not so much ourselves. So like I said, I forgive you, I love you, I'm sorry. And then start again. And the interesting thing is sometimes like that in and of itself is a new pattern for people, instead of just being, judgmental towards yourself. Like, oh, geez, again, seriously, like how many times am I going to do this? Or whatever goes through your head. Or thoughts of like, oh, I can't do that for myself in my business right now. Like the timing's not right. The money's not right. That this isn't right. The whatever. And any sort of thoughts like that, Yogi Bhajan, if you're a Kundalini yoga fan, he says, any negative thoughts like that cost you 30% of your energy. Isn't that scary? 30%.
No kidding. I didn't know that.
But you can feel it if you tune in.
I can feel it.
You can feel it when you're starting to judge yourself. So when you feel it, don't meet it with more judgment, because that's not what we need. Meet it with, I forgive you, I'm sorry, I love you, and start again. And just that very quote unquote simple step can set you in a new space of starting again in a place of love.
Isn't that really what we're talking about? We talk about rewiring. We're talking about changing patterns. I like to think about it as changing direction. And, the reason that I want to talk to you about that is, I've been out in the desert for, 10 days, like on a vision quest, let's say. And what I learned about the desert is that you think you're walking a straight line, but even if you begin to adjust where you think you're walking by 1/4 of an inch, after a mile of walking that 1/4 of an inch off of your original target, you are miles and miles and miles away. And isn't it the same to know that we can make small adjustments and gain miles and miles and miles of our life back?
That's an awesome way to look at it. I love that.
But we have to have some tools. And that's what you do.
It is. I have taken all the fun ones. The ones that work for me, that I used in my healing journey, and I continue to use, like you said, to course correct. And I share them, and I like them to be quick. I mean, I do have a hefty meditation practice of 20 minutes twice a day, which, I totally suggest if that feels right for you. But some people, that's too big of a step. And so I literally wanted things that you can quickly do by like closing your eyes and tuning into where your thoughts are originating, trying to move them into your heart. I call it moving your thoughts from your head to your heart. And I mean, if I need to do that, I can literally do it in half a second. So
wow,
just to reorient, right? The more you do it, the quicker you get. And so I wanted to share that stuff.
Oh my gosh. And the other part of this is knowing that you're not taking the journey alone. Let's talk about not feeling good enough for a minute. This idea of not enough is one of the, deadly seven. It's one of those ones where a lot of things are associated with that. What did you discover about that for yourself and your own journey back to wellness?
If we, first of all, the topic, feeling not good enough, shifting and feeling totally worth it, was by far one of my most popular shows and the one I get the most feedback on. But just for me, in my own healing journey, what I needed to feel worth it about was, I was diagnosed with endometriosis when I was 14. And so the chronic pain started when I was a child, which didn't necessarily mean that all the choices were mine. And so as I shifted into an adult, like making choices for me in my health, was a bit stumbly. And so the biggest lesson that I had to learn for me was that I am enough and my ideas are worth sharing. Like, I don't actually have to do the things that the doctors say. I have a choice. I don't have to do another internal ultrasound just because they want to check to make sure I'm okay, because it actually caused more pain than anything else. Like, doing the test caused me more harm than not doing the test for me. And I didn't know I had a choice at that moment. I was just like, well, they said I have to.
Oh, right.
You know?
Right.
And so that was a big shift for me to be like, yeah, no thanks. And I have a beautiful woman as my gynecologist now who she will, this is going to make me cry. She will, if I, on my annual visit, if we just are going to sit in her office and talk that year, we sit in her office and talk. And she doesn't make me do anything that I'm not ready to do for that year. And that was huge for me because, again, endometriosis is a reproductive systems disease. And so pelvic exams is very much a part of the treatment and diagnosis. And again, being diagnosed when I was 14, like, it came with some trauma. And I didn't know that until I was quite a bit older. And so in my healing, having a partner in this woman who was like, I took an oath to first do no harm. And so if in giving this exam to you is harm, she's like, we are not doing it until you fully say my whole body is okay and I'm ready to do this. Of course, she informed me that if I don't do my annual exam, like, here's all the risks. Like, it is her job to inform me of all of the risks, but it is ultimately my decision. And so some years I have exams and some years I don't.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah.
And I needed somebody to hold that space for me and for me to like stumble through it and love myself through the fact that literally if you want to watch PTSD, you just put me in front of a hospital and you can just watch it happen.
Oh, I totally get it.
And loving myself through that and being like, I remember going to see my sister in the hospital after she has 2 babies. And I would, my family's just like, are you okay? Are you coming? I'm like, I need a minute.
Yeah, exactly.
I will come.
Exactly.
I need a minute. And loving myself through that and not being like, wow, Audrey, that was like a decade ago. Let's get over it. Like, it's time, and just being like, well, apparently today it's back up again.
Exactly. And that's part of what you help people understand, that they have the freedom to choose. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we are going to give away one of the seats to Audrey's online masterclass, Soul Awakening, How to Rewire Your Life. For more information, go to Audrey's website, audreymichel.com. That's AudreyMichel.com. Check it out when we come back. We're going to talk about, listen, can we really unlearn things? And we are going to give away the spot, and we are taking your questions. Short break, everyone. We'll be right back.
San Francisco morning coming clear and cold. Don't know if I'm waking or I'm dreaming.
Be you plus live your purpose equals joy. That's the motto of Unstuck Joy with Vicki Todd. Vicki believes you were born with gifts that are meant to make the world brighter. Each show will feature an art visioning journal prompt to help you create your way to soul clarity. If you're ready to get unstuck and create more joy, this show is for you. Tune in every month on Transformation Talk Radio. For more information, visit VickiWorldArt.com.
A word of caution. If you prefer the status quo and you are not interested in improving every aspect of your life, this book will trigger the shift out of you. The Truth is Funny, Shift Happens is available now. Author Colette Steffen brings the powerful knowledge and life-changing energy and empowerment from the radio airwaves to the pages of her new book. To get your copy in paperback or ebook, visit thetruthisfunny.com today.
In this day and age, if you don't reinvent yourself, you may never find balance, peace, and the sustainable life that is your birthright. Angela Watson Robertson, known as the Reinvention Warrior and the host of breakthrough radio show Masters of Reinvention, is here to help you reinvent every area of your life. Tune in and hear from the best in the personal transformation business and discover tips and tools for positive change. Live every month on Transformation Talk Radio.
TheAngelLady.net. 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 1-800-323-1790. 1-800-323-1790. Sue Storm. TheAngelLady.net.
Isn't it time to put your health first? To give yourself the gift of whole body wellness? What if embracing unconditional love and self-care was the first step to wellness? Could you honor that for yourself? My name is Audrey Michel, host of Rewired Life Radio and the author of Rewired Life, A Journey to Untangle Chronic Pain and Endometriosis. In my book, I share how I healed from 17 years of chronic pain and disease. Get your signed copy at audreymichel.com/book, spelled MICHEL.com/book.
Amber Teal, founder of The Healthy Edge, is bringing you the hit show Healthy Edge Radio, living with power, passion, and purpose. Amber provides the support and tools necessary for you to finally release the weight and emotions that are hidden beneath the weight. Tune in each month on Transformation Talk Radio. For more information on how you can take the next step with Amber, visit getthehealthyedge.com.
Said music's real, the rest is seen. Oh, keep faith, feeling that won't go away. Let the sound of his soul in the air. I can hear it out there, and I know they left those soul shadows on my mind.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. Audrey Michel is in the house. And, we're talking about a lot of things, but what we're really mostly talking about is how to change your life so that you can experience joy. You can experience abundance. You can experience love. And sometimes we have old patterns that need to be fine-tuned and rewired. And so Soul Awakening Masterclass is coming up. Now, tell folks, how long is the class? Because we're going to get ready to give away a seat in it. Tell folks a little bit about when we're getting going here, how it's working, and how they can register.
Sure. So enrollment is now open, which means if you sign up for the class today, I have bonus material to get you through next week. So I call it the refresh bonus, where I've got, again, some information to get you started, meditations to get you started, and then officially the content starts next week. So each week we have a new block or module of information that is online. So it is available across, if you do a computer, your iPhone, etc. It is all downloadable, so you can have it at any time.
Oh, that's awesome. Let's give a seat away. First caller. Yeah, 1-800-930-2819. You want to get rewired, rewiring your life. 1-800-930-2819. We have one opening to give away, and we'll take the first caller. This deal here about patterns and the relationship with unhelpful patterns and trying to achieve any level of success has been one of the things that causes people to be stuck most often and for the longest period of time. I want to ask you about how do we begin to look at these patterns and begin to unlearn them? You and I have a couple of hiccups in a few things, areas in our lives, right? You were sharing about hospitals, right?
Yes.
I was talking about the minute that I get on air and I start to fumble with my words, right? And I had to learn that because I fumble a few words, it doesn't mean I'm going back to high school here.
Yeah.
That's not easy, though. Tell us how we begin to do that. What's the relationship between unhelpful patterns and success?
You said something before we went to the first break, which was triggered.
Yeah,
so I did. One way to know that if you're butting heads with an unhelpful pattern is to watch when you're triggered. And that feels different for different people, but how it feels for me is jittery. Sometimes I get sweaty. Like if you put me outside a hospital, I'll totally get sweaty and jittery. And sometimes angry for reasons that I can't quite put my finger on. Like I just know that I have now gone from 0 to 60 in a nanosecond, and I'm really mad about something, and it feels kind of disconnected. Like I'm really angry and I really don't know why, but I'm really mad about it, So those are the things I start to look for to understand where these unhelpful patterns are, right? And so then it goes back to this awareness piece that I was saying earlier, being aware, right? And noticing for yourself, like I'm sweaty, I'm jittery, I'm mad, and being able to then forgive yourself, show yourself some love, know that you're worth it, and then have some of these tools for yourself to start releasing some of that energy and redefining how you would actually like to act in those situations.
I think you're talking about something that we don't talk about enough, is the fact that here we are, we're walking down the street, something happens that triggers something. Then what happens to us not just changes emotionally, but it changes our physiology. And then there we go. And without any tools, we can be lost in this place or stuck in this place or overwhelmed in this place, whatever that is. But the end game, if we don't get help, is immobilization. What have you seen about this? And, let's talk about some of the folks that you've helped become rewired and how their lives have changed, if you will.
Yeah. The hard part is women tend to come to me with larger issues. And I don't really know if I can talk about it in this way with being compliant or not, but the bigger issues, like one woman has heart disease and she gets really tired, and or like postpartum depression and she has issues and feels really overwhelmed when she's with her mom, or ADHD and this woman feels a lot of anxiety when dealing with her children. And my job isn't so much to tackle the like big thing, it's to help you feel less exhausted, anxious, and angry, right?
Bingo. That's it.
Yeah. And so we really dig in, and we start to define what sort of tools you're missing, right? I mean, I know for myself, I didn't exactly grow up in like a very emotionally intelligent household, which, you know, I love my family, don't get me wrong. But most of us, and I am hoping to have a woman on the show who did this study over 10,000 families, and they found a handful of families that are actually in both lineages, what they would call healthy emotionally and mentally, you know, advanced, and have tools to deal with their emotions, which I found fascinating. So I didn't get those, and most of us don't, and that's okay. And so here we are as adults, like trying to figure out our own body and figure out our own emotions. And so I work with my clients to kind of figure out where there's some missing links, and show themselves some compassion, right? Like the one woman with the ADHD that is just like has such a short temper with her kids and feels really bad about it, you know? And understandably, but we work through tools on how to short circuit that anger that she not only feels towards them and then towards herself for this whole cycle, to go in and break that up. So that her first step isn't I'm triggered, I'm angry. Maybe it's now I'm triggered, but I can take a pause and reevaluate and show up with love, you know, and we start to break those negative patterns and interject some more positive things. And it starts really with being showing yourself some love and like I said, getting some more steps in between A and B. Yeah. Now we can have A, B, C, you know?
Yeah. And sometimes, though, don't you think that having someone like you and working with you to remind us that we are lovable is super important, because, you know, we do need reminders sometimes, right? You know, and we've gone through a range of experience, right, in our lives. There's a range. So we're not always clear. Are we, Audrey? Are we always clear about what the thing is? I know that for myself, I'm not.
No, that's why you need another person. I don't know if you've experienced this in other parts of your life, but it seems like other people can see what you're going through clearer than what you can when you're in it to win it. You know, when you're like really in the thick, when you're down in the weeds, when you're in the forest, like you can't get above it. And so that's what I help women with, is start to have these tools that you can, I call it hop in the airplane and fly over top of the issue and look down. Yeah. Instead of being so stuck in the weeds that there's just no light.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know what it's like to feel stuck in the weeds, and I think you do too. Mm-hmm. And, you know, today, I mean, we're using examples, I think, as well. And we're talking about things that can happen to us physically, but that is not always what it is. And I think we're just going to go ahead, Benny, and skip the break, because, you know, part of this is really understanding the idea of moments in our lives where we have to stop and celebrate. You know, we have to look at gratitude and bring it in, invite it in. And, you know, what about joy? Why not want the experience of joy? Although, and you know this, and I know this, sometimes you have a life experience where you don't recognize joy. Mm-hmm. And this is really talking about how important celebrating the daily things are, right?
Yeah. Yeah, being able to bring celebration and joy and gratitude into your everyday life.
Mm-hmm.
The woman that I had on my show, what was it, 2 weeks ago now, was in a car accident where she lost her best friend, her boyfriend, and she was a mess, a wreck, like had to relearn everything. Like her whole body was broke. And for her, what got her through all of that was a gratitude journal and just being, grateful for very small things. And now she talks about it in a way of ritual and, showing her body some love, for example, in the shower while, we're all like soaping ourselves up and washing our hair. Like she makes it a routine to just be like thanking her body. Cause she had to relearn to walk. Right. So she really is like physically thanking her body for, being able to relearn all of these things.
Yeah. And Audrey, I want to ask you this though, because it's not just rethanking our body at the moments when our body does cool things, right? I mean, of course, that goes without saying. But it's also learning how to express gratitude, maybe in those moments where a body just is not like screaming, yeah,
yes,
I'm all better now. I'm all good now, right? Those days.
Yeah. I would say while I was, part of my story is that there would be 2 weeks out of the month that I wouldn't get out of bed, mainly during menstruation, ovulation. I would be stuck in bed and, literally sometimes it was like my tea is hot.
Yeah.
Like that was my gratitude for the day because everything else, like I could have let myself go to a very angry place about how awful I felt.
I know.
And how mad I was that I wasn't getting out of bed again. And, I could have gone to that space, but I was like, you know what? I am grateful that I have a husband who makes enough money that I am not forced into working and we are able to like maintain, a portion of our life so I can get well. And my tea is hot and I have a stove and it makes me hot tea.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've been in that space and I totally get it. And it's a choice. It's a choice to shift. It was a choice to shift my thinking into, my tea is hot. And that gives me joy.
Yeah. You know what I love about this? I mean, kind of have gone through a number of experiences, but there are these labels we put on ourselves. And I remember when I was on my healing journey and I was moving right along. And then all of a sudden I had issues with my cells working properly and I gained like 100 pounds. And it was really interesting to watch the emotional part of that, where all of a sudden I was like, completely obsessed, not with the idea of getting well, but this idea of, quote, and I say this in quote for all of you out there, I'm not talking about you, I'm expressing the way that I felt about being fat. And then I had to deal with why is that an issue? And, sometimes we get to learn some things through our pain that we wouldn't have an opportunity to learn otherwise. Isn't that what you're talking about, though? How do bring that learning forward?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I have many people ask me, like, don't you wish you didn't have to go through that? And I was like, well, on one level, yeah, I do. But on another level, I wouldn't understand my body in the way that I do now. And, I truly believe our body is the message board to our psyche and our emotions and our spirit. And, my body has chosen to use pain in one area or another of my body to let me know where we are off. And so now I have the tools to listen to that. And I kid you not, Dr. Pat, I have a sticky rib. I call it sticky rib. We talk a lot. But I kid you not, as soon as I pay attention and I honor what that part of my body is telling me about my life, about where I need to go in a different direction, about my thoughts, it'll dissipate like almost momentarily.
Mm-hmm.
Like it'll come up and we'll talk and I'll be like, okay, got it. And then it dissipates.
Yeah. Yeah. We've talked about a lot today, but one of the things that I want to get back to is the idea that everything you've learned and everything that you're talking about today, you've included in this upcoming experience people can have with you on your Soul Awakening Masterclass. But I want to get to the title of this, because Soul Awakening, people might say, how to rewire your life. What does rewiring have to do with soul awakening? Now, I know we alluded to it today in our conversation, but I really want to talk about this. Is that what you had? Did you have a soul awakening?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. Yeah. I write about it in my book, but my soul awakening was, not this romanticized, like I woke up to my light and this beautiful experience. It was a nightmare, and I joke about it. It was ugly crying, but I really woke up to and finally heard the fact that my inner wisdom was like raising its little hand, being like, hey, you've been ignoring me your whole life, but now that you have nowhere else to go, literally, would you like to hear what I have to say? And I was just like, frickin' fine, whatever. And my awakening literally came in the form of like, you're done taking these dozen pills daily. My disease for me was not life-threatening. And so all of the pills I was taking were giving me quality of life.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned, 2 weeks out of the month, I wasn't getting out of bed. So my quality of life really sucked.
Right.
And I finally listened to my inner wisdom that was telling me, like, how much of what you're feeling is you and how much of what you're feeling is a side effect. And I was like, I actually have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was my wake up was.
Yeah. Yeah. What I love about what we're talking about is there are many people that I know over time that listen to this show. Some of them are listening live today, and some of them will be listening to the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And, if you're wondering about, can Audrey help me? My situation is so different. Can I get help? And the answer is yes, because there are some things that you've learned which have been A, scientifically proven, and B, based on your own experience and the experience of others, and the not just the relief they're getting, but people want a great life. Isn't that really the end game here? This is not just about let me rewire so I can, not go to sleep every day. It's also about creating an amazing life.
Yeah. By design, choosing by design to have your best life.
Mm-hmm. And that is not something we have to compromise on. That is not something we have to negotiate. And I think that for today's show, Audrey, is really, when I think about this and I think about you, that's really what this is about. You're not sitting there every day thinking, how can I get out into the world in a really marginal way? That is not what's going on. And therefore, when I think about that, I think about what you've accomplished and what you're willing to share with people. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Dr. Pat. It's my pleasure.
Let's talk about what do we want to say to folks? This hour just zipped right by. What do we want to say to folks? To help the folks listening to the show understand and believe that they truly can have it all. Thank you for today.
Thank you. The episode I had last week was titled "Jump and Your Life Will Appear," and I think that's my encouragement to everybody: is if you feel like you're standing on the edge of something, jump. And you'd be surprised at how quickly you'll grow wings. And I'd love to help you with that. And so that's what the class Soul Awakening is all about.
I love it. Thank you so much for today. How can they find out more about this, and how can they register?
For sure. So Everything is at audreymichel.com. There's a tab that says Soul Awakening. There's also a big graphic that says enrollment is now open. So if you go to audreymichel.com is where you can get all kinds of information and get registered.
And how can they find out more about the radio show?
That is also on audreymichel.com. So if you go and click on the radio tab, you'll get to Rewired Life Radio. And so the show is every Wednesday at noon Pacific.
Awesome. And tune in, and you can listen on transformationtalkradio.com. Audrey, you rock. Thank you so much for today.
Thank you, Dr. Pat.
Awesome. We're going to take a short break. We're not done yet. You may be thinking, well, wait a minute. Is she done now? No, we're not done, because I don't stutter much anymore. And I get to do this actually 2 hours in a row. Thank you, Audrey. Short break. We'll be right back.
The preceding audio was via a Skype call.